So what I'm doing right now is unscrewing the speedo and the odometer because I want to see if my spare will work with this cable. If the spare doesn't work, then I know it's something to do with the connection on the other end at the transmission, and I'll need to replace the entire speedo cable, which I'm kind of not looking forward to doing, but it was working. I did have a working speedo cable for a while, but then it stopped, and I'm not entirely sure what the story is, and that was maybe 15 or 20 miles ago. I'd like the odometer and I'd like the speedo cable because I'd like to know how far I'm going, what sort of gas mileage I'm getting, and that sort of thing. And I'm actually toying with the idea while I'm in here of, I think I will, I'm going to swap in a spare fuel gauge just to see if my gauge is busted, or if the fuel gauge, the new fuel gauge isn't working. Then I'll know that there is something wrong with that, because the fuel gauge was working and that has stopped working as well. So I'm just trying to sort out a couple of electrical and mechanical issues here today. I had the truck out today for cars and coffee, and then I went and took her on a picture ride down by the river, and that was nice. Looked good down there. I've got a picture of the Scout in the same spot, and I really like that spot. It's just a little bit too early. The leaves haven't quite turned yet, so it's not exactly ideal. I think maybe in another week the leaves will be perfect, but for now I was just happy to have it down there. I'm trying to be very ginger with how much I'm disturbing back here, because it seems like every time I have to open the dash up, something else stops working, or something decides it's upset and isn't grounded and doesn't want to work, which is, I think, half of how I wound up in this situation. There's that one. I do know that this was a working speedo, so I'm kind of thinking other things are afoot, but like I said, before I start tearing things apart down below, I'm going to make sure up here. It could just be something as simple as the line from the transmission or something. I don't know. On to the fuel gauge. All right, fuel sender's in. Just going to put this back in place, and I will capture all these other nuts and bolts. Put them aside, and we'll take this thing out for a quick spin, and we'll see how we do. All right, nothing. The other thing is that my amp gauge is way too high, so I got to look at that. So my issues seem to be something with the mechanical linkage between the speedo and the transmission, and also the electrical connection between the fuel gauge and the tank. And again, I had these working, they were working fine, so I don't know what the story is here. This is the original gauge. I'm going to leave the original gauge on, but I am going to take this fuel gauge off. It's funny, I don't remember why I took the speedo, the original speedo, off the truck. That seems kind of strange to me, but I've been known to do dumb things from time to time. I have gauges of all different colors on the faces. I've got all the ones that are on the truck right now have black faces. I've got gauges with silver faces, with gold faces. And what I'm trying to do is standardize on one style. And I like the black, so I'm going to stick with the black. One thing I would love to be able to figure out how to do is to get into these gauges and clean the inside glass. I am noticing that on dark nights, the glass on my gauges is fuzzy. It's got a lot of dust on the inside, and that's kind of a bummer. I'd love to be able to clean that off and make the gauges nice and clear, but from what I can tell, there is no easy way to get the faces off the gauges. Basically, it's the round ring that you see my fingers on right now is sort of pressed over the lip of the gauge, sort of like a bottle cap, and I'd have to like take that off somehow. I'd have to like unbend it and then find a way to like bottle cap it back on, and I don't have that kind of gear here. That's like a very specialized kind of thing. All right. Back into place for the 11th billionth time. I'm out of the truck looking at the connection for the speedo, and oh yeah. Yep. Looks like this whole section just basically came off. You can see here the square section here is just basically gone. So I've got to pull the speedo cable out and get a new one and put it in here. That kind of sucks, but I'm already going to be under here because I'm going to be working on this drive shaft. I've got to pull this shaft out today, which means I think that spline section over there has got to come out all the way to here. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to pull the floor up so I can get to this from the top and make it easy on myself. I can get these two from down here, but I'm going to do the top from up there, and then I'll pull this old drive shaft out. But the first thing I've got to do is move the truck over to be out of the way. So let's get that done. Okay, drive shaft is out. I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a big old dent right there where it goes in. There's actually another dent on top here. The rest of it looks pretty good, but you can probably see it there. It's been pretty good. So I'm going to bring this in and see if I can get the local shop to make me a new one, or fix this, or do something, and hopefully that will fix the issue with the vibration in the driveline. Okay, so the drive shaft is back in. It's looking pretty good. I've got it tightened down really well. I'm going to take this thing out for a test spin and see how we do, see if the vibrations are really bad again. I'll try to get up to 4th gear, and we'll see how it feels. I'm pretty excited though. From all that I've read everywhere, there's supposed to be a snap ring within this housing, and I cannot find it anywhere. It's not on this outer section that is not spinning, and I don't see it on the inner section that is spinning either. I'm going to go inside and consult the service manual and see if I can figure out where it is supposed to be, because I am not going to take the rest of this thing off. Basically what a lot of people do is they pull this whole thing off and they pull the guts out of the inside of the hub, and that's all of the roller bearings and everything, and that really screws everything up, and I do not want to do that here. So back inside and we'll see what I can find. Humorously, the Scout service manuals don't cover the type of locking hubs that I have, but my Travelall manual does. The problem is I can't see anything out of that picture. The reproductions of these pictures usually are very good, but I can't see a damn thing out of this, so I can't tell where that lock ring is or what I'm supposed to do here. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to try to pull the cap off the driver's side and see if I can find it there, because that you have to take that snap ring off to pull the hub out and all that other junk. You can do that with the truck on the ground. So I'm going to try that now and see if I can find it over there. And if I can't find it over there, then I'm going to shelve this project for now. I'm seeing the same exact thing in here that I do on the other side, meaning I don't see a snap ring in here anywhere. So I'm going to button this side back up, and then I'm going to go in and try to figure out what the hell am I looking at here. Having done more research, I'm really kind of annoyed because it seems like nobody has a diagram for taking apart a worn 9062 hub. This is sort of the closest I can find. It's from a Jeep diagram. I'm pretty sure this is the snap ring I need to take off, but I can't figure out where that is in relation to some of these other things. So I'm going to take another look, and if not, I'm just going to button this up and call it good. I don't see any snap ring in there. This is a pretty good illustration, by the way, of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my rotors are bad. Watch this. They just up and stop. There's a bad spot right there. So that's why I want to get these off. I just can't find what I need to get this off of here. I was rooting through my bins looking for something else, and I completely forgot that I've got the speedo cable from the green Travelall. The ends look like they're in pretty decent shape, so I just cleaned it up and lubed it, and now I'm going to slam it in the truck, because if I do this, this will save me like $40, which is awesome. Looks like speedometer is back, which is good, because now I can tell my mileage. And this is the original speedo from the truck. I swapped this one in while I was at it. Bouncing around, at least there's something, and it's counting mileage, which is the other big thing. So I'll take it for the time being. If I have to buy a new one, I'll buy a new one, but I'm glad to see this is working. I am back at this, and I still do not see a snap ring in this thing at all anywhere. Interesting thing though, when I sort of move this, I can see that this whole section moves independently from the rest of the hub. So I know that the snap ring must be back here somewhere, but I can't see it. I don't know where it is, and I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look for it. I just don't see it anywhere. I'll keep looking. I think I need a much brighter light. It's just really frustrating because I'm supposed to be able to pull this out, and I just can't. I can't find it anywhere. Oh. Well, okay then. That makes that a little bit easier. There's no snap ring on this at all. So all of that worry and concern was over nothing. And I could have just left the entire cap of this thing on. That's super annoying. All right, good to know. All right, so now I've got to pull this big shit. All right, so that is why I wasn't seeing any snap ring. It's because now I see what's going on here. The reason I wasn't seeing any snap ring is because the snap ring was broken. It's supposed to be right there, and for whatever reason the two ears were snapped. So I've got to go out and get a new snap ring for this axle, but that makes a little more sense now. All right. There we go. Here's what the spindle looks like. A little bit of heat there, so it's a good thing I'm pulling this off. It did have a ton of grease in there, and that's really good. The bearing looks like it's a little, I'm gonna have to punch that back end just a little bit, but I think overall we're in decent shape here. So I'm gonna clean this up. Next thing I've got to do is get the rotor off and put it on the new hub and get it back on this thing. So let's get started on that. All right, update. What I am seeing is that, so there was a washer that was here, but I'm also seeing that there's a lock washer, not a lock washer, but a snap ring right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's on the inside of this and completely invisible to the outside of this thing because it went on just like that. So there's no way that I would have been able to see the snap ring back there. So this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm going to put it back the way that I found it. I will go out and find another snap ring and put it on there. But for now, I'm going to button this up. I'll get the caliper back on and clean up the actual rotor itself. Going to get some food, and then I'm going to come back out and do the other side. Bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre. All right, so I just pulled this off. This entire piece comes off as one unit. So the internal gears are all pinned to this thing out here. There's a snap ring right there. There's probably a snap ring inside. I'm gonna have to pull these both off to see what the other one looks like in comparison to this one, but very interesting. So yeah, that other one wasn't working the way that it was supposed to. Anyway, I'm gonna get this thing off and replaced and keep moving. Interesting. This was basically finger tight. So right now I'm looking at both of the hubs. This is the hub from the driver's side. This is from the passenger side. I just pulled this snap ring off of the driver's side, and basically what happens is there's a small inset here. This whole assembly pops out like that. So there's a ring on the inside. This just slides in here, and then you sort of push this thing down, and then the snap ring goes in right here. I'm gonna see if I can get it in here on our camera. Okay, so that one is now in, and this thing stays in. So this is all one unit. What was going on with this one was that it was backwards. This whole section was actually up inside like this. Which is, I mean, there are many problems with that, but the biggest one is that that's not the way it's supposed to go. So I'm putting this back in here. There is a snap ring on this one, but it is too small. I don't know if you can see this. Snap ring for this one, or I should say there is a snap ring and it's right there. But that does not look big enough, and it's clearly not holding this thing in place. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. I just took the Scout out for a trip around the block and it seems to be running fine. The hubs aren't warm. I mean, I didn't take it very far, just, you know, doing that 550, 500 rule. I'll probably take it out for a longer trip, maybe tomorrow, see how it does, but everything seems to be holding together. And I do notice that the brakes feel much better now. It takes a little bit longer in the pedal to get to them. Before, they were very close to the top of the pedal. Like you could just barely touch the pedal and you'd get brakes. Now there's a lot more play in the brakes, which I think is a good thing, but I'm not immediately pulling to one side like I was previously, so that's a good thing. So I'll take the other rotors, have them turn, put them in the bins, and it looks like the Scout is fixed, which is a good thing. Something is leaking up here, so I've got to take a look at that and figure out what's going on. I'm also going to bleed this brake, because I think this might be the one that is locking up first. The two front wheels are locking up. Right now they're loose. They've, you know, cooled off, but I'm clearly getting some kind of a leak down here. So I've got to look and see what's, yeah, this is wet, so something's going on up here. I think because this needs to be bled, it's probably, you know, pressurized that really well or something. So let's get this thing bled and figure out what's going on. I had my daughter help me bleed the brakes, and then I put a new line in for the brake itself. I've seen people do this with, or you know, the factory does this, I guess. You put a loop in here to make sure that vibrations or something, I don't know. But I was worried that the first one that I put in here, which probably was the first brake line that I ever made, might have been leaky. I know it was leaky up here, so I made a new one, filed it down, cleaned it all up, and put it in and cleaned it up down there too. So I'm hoping maybe this will fix things. Maybe this wasn't a good enough connection and it was allowing air into the lines or something. I don't know. So anyway, I'm hoping this will fix the problem. We will see.
Yeah, so he's using about top dead center as about right, and he got it to 15. But yeah, that's the thing that's...
I mean, at this point, I don't care where the balancer is as long as the damn thing runs.
Yeah, so let's try, let's see if it starts.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
If it starts here and idles, then we can just play with the timing here based on
how it sounds.
Based on that, yeah. I mean, we can...
Because that's, I mean, essentially that's what I've been doing. I've just been sort of grasping at straws, but when I saw the balancer, I was like, okay, there's something I'm not doing right here.
Yeah, that's...
That's like, okay. Where you had it right at the end was like right around 7,800 RPM, but then it idles like super rough.
Yeah, because I brought the timing mark up and the idle speed increased.
Right.
Seemed like it was smoother.
Right.
Then I took it higher and it roughed out. When I brought it back down, the idle didn't go back up again. It stayed pretty low, went right back where I was, where it was kind of at its smoothest point, which is where it is right now.
Yeah. And I've got the idle screw, I mean, it's out completely.
Yeah, it's definitely running rich. If that idle's, well, what about the mixture screws?
Mixture screws, all right, so.
What are, you know what they're adjusted at now?
I don't. They're not out very far, if I remember correctly. There you go.
Oh yeah, I only have 10.
Yeah, it's like, it's barely anything.
Yeah, usually starting place like 1.5.
And would this be, any of this be because of a vacuum leak that I have not found yet?
Idle speed, yeah, possibly.
Because I plugged the back of the carb up. There was one huge vacuum port on the back that I plugged.
Yeah. That's usually, that one usually goes to the EGR right there.
Uh-huh.
Usually, if you got a vacuum leak, it'll lean you out. You'd have to generally overcompensate and make everything else richer to compensate for the vacuum.
Right.
So if you're running rich, yeah. Let's put that one in first.
Yeah.
That's more better. All right. All right, let's start it up and see what happens. Oh, nothing else to adjust at the moment. I wasn't getting a whole lot of, didn't hear a whole lot of difference. Moving it back and forth a little bit off of this where it is now. And this is like, yeah, this is like 35, 40. It's pretty far. But once you get up, took it up to about 15, and that's when it really started dropping.
Yep.
You could feel it. Okay, so timing marks aside, it seems to be happier where it is. Definitely running rich. And with those idle screws only out half, it shouldn't be running rich.
Right.
And with the choke all the way out, all the way open.
Right.
Seemed to sound better with that EGR hooked up.
Definitely. Which is the first time I've had that hooked up, I think, since I've had this. It was wide open. This was plugged off ever since I got it. This was open.
Yeah.
And I finally plugged this up and it ran better, question mark. But now that this is on, I could probably turn that a little bit more to get it to.
And that might be worth pulling that EGR to see if it's plugged, because it might have been capped off before because it was plugged.
Because it was
working,
plugged?
right?
All right. Blowing this way?
Yeah.
That's dry now. Or at least there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a little wet, but it's not like it's dripping out like it was before.
Yeah, I would expect, because it should be sucking vacuum. So I can see if it's plugged off, if there's something in that port, it's settling in there. But if it's actually able to pull vacuum through it, it would suck whatever it is into the carburetor, into the Venturi. So if for some reason gas is leaking into that circuit, that would make it rich.
Right.
No, it kind of feels like there's like some other port is feeding it gas. So the idle is rich, and then when you accelerate, it's sucking more gas through wherever that port is, and that's unmetered. So it's, even when you come off the gas, the power valve is backing off, but that gas is not, so it doesn't come back down to idle quite as quickly. Do you know how many pounds this electric fuel pump pushes?
No. Could be more than it needs.
Although I don't think that should be an issue, because if it was pushing too much pressure, it would be leaking. It would be over
Squirting out of one of those ports.
Yeah, it would be overwhelming the needle and seat and bowl, unless open up this side port to see if gas pours out. And I think you can adjust these from here. Oh yeah, look at that.
Wow.
That's filled right up to the very top.
Pump is too strong.
Pump is too strong.
Well, I do have the original glass bowl fuel pump down on the bench that I've got to rebuild. I got the rebuild kit, so that might be my Sunday afternoon.
I wonder. I wonder if we disconnect the fuel pump so it's not pumping any gas.
Mm-hmm.
Run it, let it burn off the gas that's in the carburetor. I wonder if it'll run, if it'll idle any better as it burns off. If it burns down the fuel that's in the bowl.
With less pressure? All right.
Yeah, it'll have no pressure on it, and
Here's my high-tech fuel pump disconnect.
love it. Make it easy. All right.
Thank you.
Sucking out of gas. It didn't take long to burn up a whole bowl of gas.
I think it is going through a lot of...
8.2 miles to the gallon.
Yeah. So you're backing off the...
Yeah, I'm just seeing how much it moves. I don't want to... Looks like it's pretty free. But yeah, you should be able to adjust the float bowl up and down from here. So I think... Let's put that back in. My guess is either that electric fuel pump is too much, which I had happen with the Mustang.
Okay.
When I put an electric in there just to test it, it totally blew past the needle. Or there's dirt in the needle, and it's not able to close. But it's definitely, and that could be why was gas in here. If this thing is way over, if the bowl's way overfilled, it's gonna
overpressured.
It's gonna spill in. Yeah, it can spill into the throat, which is gonna make it real rich. Yeah, so I think these carburetors like
Lower pressure.
I think it's like 2 to 4 pounds or something like that.
My
I
guess
have
is
no
that's
idea what
probably
that is.
10 or 15.
Yeah, so that could well be it.
Oh, I put it up here. Stay.
Oh yeah, there's gas in there. Okay, try starting it up and just see if it's. All right, so idle jets are at 1.5. That's at whatever.
Yeah. That's like 10 or 1,000. That's 800.
That's about a bowl's worth of gas. Okay, so we definitely established that it's running better when it doesn't have so much gas in the bowl.
Yeah.
So my guess is that pump is
Too strong.
is overfilling it. Yeah.
That's like 1,000. Oh, hey. 900. And 850. Hey, look at that.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds much better. I didn't realize. I thought this only controlled the mechanical. I didn't realize it was also the circuit, the flow circuit too.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, shit, that's a hell of a lot better. That's the best it sounded so far.
I like it. Give it this time to use. I would have pushed it out 25.
Yeah.
That's not as far along as it was to do it.
No. Shit, then that's worlds better right there.
Yeah. Hold on.
That's the best this thing has run since I got it.
Now we know.
Yeah. I'm not happy.
Oh, more guys, please, more guys.
That's 600, 700 right about there. 650.
How's it like 15? So we're actually getting closer to where it should
Actual
be timed.
timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like right now, right where it's sitting is right around 15.
Huh. All right. Let me throw some more gas in this thing.
It sounded a whole lot better.
Oh my God, Bennett, I'm serious. This is the best it has sounded.
So many little things.
I know.
it's not one
I
thing.
never would have gotten this myself. Like, I never would have been able to figure out all the. I mean, because I know there's so many different variables, but like, I never would have thought that this had something to do with it.
Yeah, and I only knew it because I had this exact same thing happen with the Mustang. Yeah, the bowl's adjusted right because it fills up right below
where
the
it
window.
Okay. Oh, like 600. $700. 650. 600.
Yeah, it's like 12 degrees, not getting around.
Yeah. I'd say 700 sounds good. Up a little bit. Keep coming. Keep coming. Right up there. Like, that's 700 right there.
Like 19 degrees.
That's better than it was. Right, yeah, that's like 700 thereabouts.
Find that down. That's at like 18. Whoops.
Yeah. Here, I'll hold it. Actually, up a little bit, or keep coming. Keep coming, there's 700 right there. Oh. Yeah. Oh. You are at 900 right now. Still 900. Not moving at all.
That's 15 degrees right there.
I'd take 900.
Just
Alright.
good.
That sounds so much better.
What?
It's actually at 600 now. I mean,
It's 650 and 850 is usually kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Depending on how the truck likes to run.
right.
See how it feels when it's cold too.
Yeah.
When you have the give it a little choke.
Holy crap.
Success. Successor.
I mean, that's more success than I've had in a long time. After banging my head against it for, a couple of months. And I never would have... I'm very glad that I put that back on and didn't try to fool with the sniper the way it was.
Yeah, you would have been.
I would have been chasing my tail for the next 3 years. It was really helpful to have him and his second eye and his experience with that. We first figured out where top dead center was, realized that top dead center was, we figured out where that was on cylinder 8, but the timing marks on the engine do not correspond to that. The timing marks on the engine, when you're at top dead center on cylinder 8 on an international engine, should be at 0, but mine is not. It's almost off of the timing marks completely. So that was like question number 1, and that's also why my timing was looking so advanced. So we started farting around with things. We farted around with the carburetor, just trying to figure out what the issue was there. And one of the things that Bennett had realized, or thought of, was that there's too much gas pressure in the gas line coming from the electric fuel pump. This is something that he saw in a little Mustang of his. So we tried gravity feeding gas, and that made a huge difference. The bowl in the carburetor was not completely full of gas. The idle came way down. We were able to make a bunch of more adjustments to the idle circuit and the mixture screws to get the idle down to where it should be, which is about 600, 700 RPM. This thing has always idled at like 1,000 RPM or more, and I've never been able to figure out why that is. It's now down to about 600 RPM. So what I'm going to do now is take this down to the basement and start rebuilding the original fuel pump that came off of this truck. These carbs, the 2300s, like a fuel pressure of like 2 to 4 psi. I'd bet that electric fuel pump was pumping out something like 10 to 15. And it was just filling up the bowl on the carb. And the engine couldn't figure out what to do with it, so it's just burning all this fuel. We also hooked up the line from the back of the carb to the EGR valve. That seemed to help, and when I pulled the block off of that, a little bit of gas came out, which was also another clue that the carb was getting too much gas at one point. So let's go downstairs, let's rebuild that carb and slap it on the truck. The other thing I did was rebend all of my brake lines because my brake lines were pretty lousy. So these now have the curlicues in them and goes over there. This one goes down. So they hopefully will be a little bit better in terms of vibration and all that kind of stuff. I also wanted to make sure that these fittings were better because they were not good when I first put them on. I'm still not sure that these are the best. I spent the time really cleaning these things up and filing them down to make sure that they sit on these things properly and they're not bleeding or leaking or anything. I'm not entirely sure how well I did. I just wiped them off. I think there's a little bit of fluid coming out of them, so I'm going to have to redo these again. Maybe I'll have to get a different brake flaring kit. I'm not entirely sure yet, but that'll be later. I just had my daughter help me bleed these brakes out, this pot out, and I'm out of brake fluid now, so I'm going to go out and get some more before I can figure that out. Separate gasket there. The only thing I need is a fuel filter, which the kit did not come with. They look like this. I've got a couple that are going to come into Napa in 2 days. So I'll get that installed, and then I can put this in the truck and fire it up. I'm going with the original fitting here. I just flared this out to make it a little bit wider, and have something here for the pump with the hose to fit on, but I think this should be fine. So this thing is ready to go. Looking forward to slapping this on the engine. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching as always. I will have a link to merchandise and stuff up here in a minute. Again, anything you buy there goes right back into this truck. She's not getting any cheaper, and I do appreciate it. I've had some people buying some shirts lately, and that's really great. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video.